The New Orleans Saints were the worst team in the 70s, and Archie Manning was sacked more than any other quarterback for 3 seasons. But instead of giving up or forcing a trade, Manning became a hero in the city, almost leading them to the playoffs. So, how did this player with one of the weakest O-lines ever seen outplay the NFL? This is the story of Archie Manning. In the 1971 NFL Draft, the Saints selected Manning with the 2nd overall pick. This was a team that had won just 2 games the season prior. They needed a miracle, and the rookie wasted little time answering the call.
But the Rams methodically fought back, and with only a minute 24 remaining, they led 20-17, and it appeared as if they had managed to stave off a major upset. His slide around the Ram flank and into the end zone was hotly contested by Los Angeles, but it was genuine, and the young Saints had produced an epic upset. For Archie Manning, it was an heroic beginning. His entrance into the NFL was marked not by the usual frustration that shrouds a rookie quarterback, but rather by a resounding clap of thunder that startled all of pro football.
Manning didn't just pass the ball well, but he had the speed and mobility to keep defenses on their toes. This mattered because the 70s were filled with massive linemen who had one goal: baptize every rookie QB who entered the league. And Manning discovered this firsthand in Week 2, where he suffered an eye injury. The big hitters of this era had no remorse. Quarterbacks simply weren't protected by any rules yet. Archie had a lot to learn, and he wasn't really expected to be a starter right away. In fact, most people knew you needed at least 5 years at the pro level to become great. But Manning was playing for a franchise on its last legs, so he was immediately thrown into the fire. And in Week 5, things were about to get even tougher. Standing between New Orleans and a second win were the reigning NFC champions, the Dallas Cowboys, and their doomsday defense. The Saints needed a miracle, and in this game, their miracle was Archie Manning.
After hitting Abramowitz, Manning rolled right, avoided a tackler, and fired on the run for setback Tony Baker. Somehow, the ball found its way through 3 defenders, and the Saints had a touchdown. St. Archie had scrambled his way into the end zone and into his fans' hearts. The Saints were on their way to one of the biggest upsets in their short history, and the first half ended with the Saints shockingly ahead of the mighty Dallas Cowboys. As Archie Manning walked back to the New Orleans bench, he received a standing ovation from 83,088 hysterical fans.
We were witnessing a glimpse of a Hall of Famer in the making. One thing became very clear: this was not the usual quarterback performance. Manning was one of few QBs who could bamboozle a defense with his scrambling. He was basically revolutionizing pro football with his running ability. New Orleans may groove to jazz, but Manning made the city dance. But honestly, there was another reason why Manning kept on leaving the pocket. The Saints at the time had one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. Archie had virtually no pass protection at all, and it showed in the stats. No other QB was sacked more than him. And because this is the Saints we're talking about, things weren't going to change anytime soon. In 1972, Archie Manning was once again the most sacked quarterback in the league. The Saints started the season winless in their first 5 games, and it wasn't just the O-line. Manning didn't exactly have a cast of reliable receivers either. They dropped pass after pass, killing any rhythm he tried to build. If Archie wanted to taste victory again, he knew he'd have to will his team there himself. New Orleans finally tasted victory as Manning dissected the Eagles' defense like a surgeon. The Saints were alive, but the spark didn't last too long. 3 straight losses followed, as Manning ran headfirst into the league's toughest defenses. Fortunately, he caught his breath back at home in Week 11. The Saints claimed their 2nd win of the year, and something clicked for Archie. He was finally reading defenses, throwing to open space, and trusting his instincts. By season's end, he led the NFC in passing yards and the entire NFL in completions. Now get this, Archie scored 20 of the Saints' 23 touchdowns. It was one of the biggest carry jobs the league had ever seen, but even heroes need help. And in 1973, his salvation may have arrived, because the Saints had a new coach in John North, and he guided them to visible progress. Small steps, but steps forward nonetheless. On the surface, things looked promising, but for Archie Manning, the reality was much harsher. Injuries and illness began to take their toll, and worse yet, Coach North wasn't a fan of Manning's style. He wanted a pocket passer, not a scrambler. 4 seasons in, and Manning was called a disappointment by many. In 1975, it was now 3 seasons where Manning was the league's most sacked quarterback. He was battered and bruised in New Orleans, who never had a winning record since joining the league in '67, and eventually, all the hits caught up to him. In the offseason, Archie Manning underwent surgery to relieve the pain in his arm, but when the 1976 season arrived, he still wasn't ready. Another surgery followed, and many began to wonder if Manning's career was finished for good. But he wasn't done yet.
Number 8 Archie Manning's injury-prone condition has combined with traditionally weak teams to keep him from fulfilling expectations.
In 1977, Manning made his long-awaited return, determined to finally lead the Saints to the playoffs. But football can be cruel. That year, New Orleans was decimated by injuries to its receivers, and Archie could only manage a 1-9 record as a starter. The city's faith was fading fast. The team was running out of chances. And that's when Archie Manning understood. If something didn't change soon, the Saints might lose more than just games. So, in 1978, he decided to take that personally. It was time to prove, once and for all, that he was built for the challenge.
Archie Manning, for the first time since he's come into the league, is healthy.
A 300-yard game in Week 2 was ultimately not good enough to get the victory. As another dreadful season loomed, Archie Manning knew he had to deliver fast. And in Week 4, he stepped up once again. Manning clutched up, leading the Saints to a stunning upset over the Bengals. Suddenly, New Orleans was 2-2 heading into Week 5. So, Archie made sure to keep the heat on high. He threw a career-high 3 touchdown passes against the Rams. Ultimately, the defense failed the team once again, leading to another loss. But the Saints redeemed themselves over the next few games. And out of nowhere, they were 5-4. The first time in franchise history that they held a winning record past midseason. But to protect that record, they had to face the best team in football, the Pittsburgh Steelers. But with playoff hopes hanging in the balance, the NFC's leading passer went nuclear.
But the Saints' Archie Manning, who triggered an aerial barrage that saw the 8-year veteran pass for 22 of 32 and a career-high 344 yards against Pittsburgh's conference-leading steel curtain defense.
Manning completed 22 of 32 passes for a staggering 344 yards. Yet in true Manning fashion, it still ended in defeat. Unfortunately, the road ahead didn't get any easier. 2 heartbreaking losses to the Falcons crushed their playoff dreams. But this season was about more than wins and losses. After years of doubt and punishment, Archie Manning was named the NFC's Player of the Year. And more importantly, he proved to his critics that he did have the intelligence and talent to be an elite quarterback. And Manning wasn't done there. The following year, he made back-to-back Pro Bowl appearances, the ultimate validation of his perseverance. Archie didn't have the accolades of a Terry Bradshaw or a Roger Staubach, or even his sons, but his career proved that greatness isn't always measured in rings or records. It can also be about surviving chaos and shining through it. In a franchise defined by heartbreak, Archie became its heartbeat.